This entitled dad wants to borrow his stepdaughter's TV.
This reminds me of my childhood.
But when he does something terrible to it, the mum gives him an ultimatum that will shock him to the core. Happy birthday if today's your birthday. Feels good to say that again. And on with the show. The backstory. I was 15 when my half-sister was born. I was a little older than 16 when my mum had 2 more kids with my stepdad. So this story is several years old. It's paraphrased as well as I can remember it. The cast: me, Bunny, OP, ESF, entitled stepfather, and M, my mum. I was around 17 years old when we moved back into the house after some major renovations. I had essentially moved back into a room that I'd spent about a year out of. I remember as I was moving back in, my entitled stepfather grabbed my arm and dragged me into the living room to talk. Listen, I need to know if you want internet or TV before we move all your crap back in. I had both before. Why can't I have both now? It doesn't matter. Now pick. Do you want TV service or internet service? So, because I was vastly more into internet than TV, I chose to have internet service in my room. He tries telling me some garbage that the wiring going into my room could only work for TV service or internet service. But then he puts up Wi-Fi and tells me to connect to that. I learn a bit later that what he had actually done was remove the TV service cabling that goes into my room by cutting it himself. I don't know why. A couple of months after moving in, I catch ESF looking into my room and staring at my TV. Granted, it looks like a big TV because it was on a small table, but it was maybe only 22 inches wide and maybe 12 inches long. I'm probably remembering the size wrong, but it was essentially just a bit bigger than a computer monitor. Now, I'm already greatly annoyed. This is before I started locking my door, so people stopped randomly opening my door. But he still had to open it without saying anything to me, and he was just standing in the doorway, still without saying anything to me. Eventually, I take off my headphones and clear my throat. That seemed to snap him from whatever trance my TV had him in. My desk is beside the door, while my TV faces the door on the opposite wall. Can I help you? I'm also used to him just throwing all kinds of crap at me for me to do. So I'm getting annoyed at the idea of having a long list of stuff to do. What are you doing with your TV now? What? You have your consoles in the den with the other TV. You play your games there with your friends. Why do you still have a TV in here? Because it's mine? My mum gave it to me long before we came here. I still have some older consoles plugged into it. You know, your sister could really use it if you're not using it. Now, I have 2 sisters. The older one of the 2 is basically the golden child. To this day, she's still really entitled, but she's still 2 at this point. He wants to give a toddler my TV. What? No! What is a 2-year-old going to do with my TV? ESF angrily, which in his case means yelling. I'm going to put it on a shelf. She couldn't hurt herself with it then. Besides, I'm getting sick of the baby TV shows in the living room TV. My mum and ESF would constantly play kid TV shows on the big TV in the living room. It had surround sound. You couldn't escape it. It played as soon as the kids woke up to well after they were asleep. ESF used to complain all the time how high the electricity bill was. Gee, wonder why. But it's my TV. I could lend it to her, but I would like it back. ESF smugly. Fine. I find the remote for my TV, unplug and pack my console stuff. I give the TV a gentle pat to thank it for its services. I know it's either going to be destroyed or I'll never get it back. At least that's where my gut tells me as I see him still smugly looking at me. I then unplug the TV and offer it and the remote. Oh, by the way, we got your sister an Apple TV, so you may be hearing their shows in the morning. He walks off. It takes me a moment to realize what he had meant. My room shares a wall with my sister's. He was going to use my TV to wake me up in the morning with those annoying kids shows. He was going to make sure the TV was on our shared wall. I forget why, but he leaves the house for a bit. I go and talk to my mum about the conversation. I plead with her to make sure I get my TV back. I plead for her to not let him bully me further and to put my TV against a different wall. Well, Bunny, we were only going to borrow the TV to keep the costs down, Besides, your sisters should get used to their own bedroom. We want them to play with their toys instead of vegging out with the big TV. Mum, that sounds like reasons why you want to borrow my TV. Please, promise me I'll get it back. I remember tearing up a bit. I don't have a lot that's mine, but the things I do have are expensive to me. Okay, sweetie, I promise you'll get your TV back, and if he tries anything, I'll do something. She gave me a reassuring pat on the shoulder. I remembered that he installed the TV, not on my shared wall, which I was thankful for, but I'd often have to turn the TV down. Someone would often put the TV at max volume. Then, several months later, ESF came home with 2 new TVs. One of them was huge enough to be a living room TV, and the other one was about the size of my old TV. My eyes light up, thinking Mum somehow convinced him to give me a new TV, since it's often that the younger siblings get the hand-me-downs and the older gets the new things. This TV should be mine, right? No, of course not. I watch him smugly go to my sister's room with it and set it up with the Apple TV. But that is also when I noticed my old TV is gone. I got angry. Wait, where's my TV? I knew it. You're so selfish, OP. This TV is clearly for your sister. That's why I'm setting it up here. No, I don't care about this brand new one. Where's the one I let you borrow? What do you mean, borrow? You told me she could have it. Besides, that crappy TV got thrown out with yesterday's trash. Good luck fishing it out of the dump. I let out a frustrated scream. I had tears pouring down my face. If you think I was too old for this kind of reaction, let me tell you, this kind of thing has happened too many times for me to count. Not the borrowing thing, but where he would say I said one thing when I know I didn't, and then hurt me with it. My mum runs over to see me go to my room and slam the door. I started locking my room from then on. I heard them start to argue and yell at each other, but I put my headphones on and tried to block it all out. 18th birthday and graduation happened. I got a big TV for Christmas/graduation, as well as a Wii U, which was maybe a year old but the newest console for Nintendo at the time. I remember loving both. I remember my mum knocking politely at my door a week after I got them and asking to come in. I let my mum in. We sat on the bed. She told me she figured he would pull some crap with my TV, like he had been doing lately. He's done all kinds of crap all the time, but my mum was working nights and sleeping during the day, so she wasn't aware of most of it. I tell her some of the crap he did on a regular basis. We hugged. She told me that she made an ultimatum with him. If he didn't give me, his oldest daughter, a TV to replace the one he threw away, she would simply take the huge one out of their room, the other one that was bought that day. He threw a toddler temper tantrum when she told him, like yelling and screaming, flailing his arms and throwing things, all because he was told to replace the TV he threw out. Apparently, my toddler sister getting a TV was because it saves on bills and she deserves it, but giving me a TV to replace the one he threw away was a waste of good money. My mum told him something like, "You asked her if you could borrow it for her sister. You have to keep your word, just like how she gave you her word and never took the TV back." His temper tantrums about the issue started the day he threw it out and replaced it, to close to Christmas when I got my new TV. Anytime my mum brought it up, he'd get angry and throw a fit. Eventually, my mum gave him another ultimatum on top of it. If you don't give her a TV to replace the one you threw out by Christmas, I'm throwing you out. And that's how I got my new TV and learned my stepdad is a toddler-level entitled parent. That seems to be the great irony with entitled parents, is they're the ones who are supposed to be most mature, and yet they're the ones that act the most like children. I'm on my way home from work and decide that I need to do my grocery shopping then because I'm exhausted and know I won't get out again once I get home. Important to note at this point for those that don't know, I have a service dog in training, Sadie, that goes everywhere with me. So I was in the membership version of America's most popular store and browsing to see that groceries I'd need for the month when I hear that familiar high-pitched squeal of the increasingly common Banshee. Now this isn't an uncommon occurrence, as anyone seen my dog will tell you that she's absolutely adorable. She knows better than to interact with people at this point, but she does do as she's trained, as she sees the kid running up and puts herself between myself and the kid. Not really in a guard stance, but sideways between myself and the kid, and touching the back of my legs so I know where the person is approaching from. In this case, I already knew, but I still turned around and gave her a treat. She's still learning after all. Told her to heel. She does as she's told and the kid slows and comes to a stop now that I'm between him and Sadie.
Your dog is so cute, I want to pet it.
I'm sorry, but see the vest with the patches she's wearing? It says service dog, do not touch. That means she's working right now and can't be distracted. I don't really like kids much beyond my niece and nephew, so I'm not good with at telling ages and didn't know if he could read. I figured he knew to obey signs though, so I thought if I told him what it said, he'd understand. Nope.
What's a service dog? She doesn't look busy, just one pet.
He's not being rude, just sounds more curious than anything, but I don't really mind explaining. And I notice a woman push her cart up behind him, so I assume she's his mum, and I feel a bit more relaxed about the situation. A service dog is a dog that helps people do things. There are all types of jobs dogs can do, but they can't be distracted because their owners need them to pay attention to only them in case something happens.
But she's just sitting there right now. If she's not gonna get back to work, you should let me pet her.
Now at this point, I guess I should have noticed the "if she's not gonna get back to work" red flag and guessed he was being raised by a Karen. But honestly, I've really only dealt with a few Karens in my life and didn't think much of it, just that he was a kid being annoying. Me to his mum, "Ma'am, could you please explain it to him? I don't have kids, so I'm not too good at this." I was admittedly probably sounding annoyed in all honesty, but I was still trying to be polite, and I don't think I was being unreasonable here. But she seemed to take offense.
Why? He just wants to pet her. It's not a big deal. And he's acting really good today, deserves a treat. I don't see why you won't let him pet her.
Me, definitely annoyed now. "Ma'am, she's a working dog. She shouldn't be distracted. I don't mean to be rude, but you're also not wearing masks, and the virus has been known to spread to dogs as well. I'd really prefer no one mess with her. We're in Texas, and I'm sure everyone has heard how poorly the state is handling the pandemic, but the majority of people still refuse to wear masks. And of all the shops I've been to, only one store still has a no mask, no entry rule."
Oh, you're one of those people.
Insert eye roll.
Just let him pet the stupid dog so we can move on. The stupid virus is over with. Everything is open now.
I think we're done here, and I just turn and walk off, keeping Sadie in my sight just in case. It should have ended there. She should have just told her kid that I was a jerk or something and moved on. But if she did, I wouldn't be posting this. Instead, she leaves her cart behind, walks up behind me, and grabs my shoulder. It's at this point I should mention that I have Sadie because of my PTSD. Now usually it's controllable. I'm on meds to help with anxiety, and I'm in therapy and don't usually have a problem. Heck, I even love music festivals and raves, and have only had a problem one time when I was having to leave EDC early and got stopped at the gate because they were about to set off fireworks. And something about the bangs and being close enough to feel the vibrations of that, many fireworks got to me. I guess with the quarantine being so recent and not having to worry about people randomly grabbing me and touching me and stuff, I'd kinda let my guard down a bit. This set me off though, and without even thinking, I grabbed her hand and spun around, twisting her arm and pushing as hard as I could, sending her sprawling to the ground. "What the heck is wrong with you?" I yelled, and some other stuff, but I was mad, and honestly don't remember what I said. Something about no means no, and I don't want her nasty butt hands on me. At this point, Sadie had gotten between us in her stance and had begun to bark, loudly and repetitively, as she's been trained, so she can get someone's attention. I noticed that Sadie was off her leash because somehow the kid had gotten in front of my cart and unhooked it. Luckily, Sadie is the best girl and doesn't need a leash to do her job. She never even thought about running and just stood in front of me barking. The kid was crying after seeing what happened to his mum and getting scared that the cute puppy was now looking pretty darn mean. Now, Sadie wouldn't hurt a fly, but this woman didn't know that, and Sadie has a very intimidating bark. Without even standing up, this woman was scrambling to get back from me and grabs at her cart to stand up. Of course, employees start running to see what's going on, and when one gets there, she asks what's going on.
This man tried to attack me. I was trying to get his attention and it bit me.
Now, I've browsed this sub enough to know where this was headed, and I wasn't in the mood. Look, just call the cops and grab the camera footage. I'm not gonna play the little he said she said game. The employee calls for the manager, who calls the cops, and asks us to come to the front office to get things sorted out. We start to head toward the front office, but once there, EM says she doesn't have the time for this and has places to be, and just walks out of the store. No one tries to stop her, but the manager looks at the footage and prints off her face to put on the banned people wall. And when the cops arrive, they say there's nothing they can do since she already left. I got employee discount for my food, which was nice, but left in a pretty bad mood because of the interaction. After getting home, I gave Sadie a small slab of steak for being such a good girl, and I just took a shower and went to bed. Didn't get anything done that I needed to, but it had been a long day and I was extra annoyed. So that's it, sadly. No real repercussions for Karen, other than maybe a bruise or two from where she hit the tiles and a traumatized kid. But if this sub is any indication, Karens don't learn from stuff like that. So here's hoping that the kid learns a thing or two at least. I honestly don't know what this obsession is with kids going up to random dogs and not listening when the owner says that they're not allowed to. They must be the kind of kids that usually get whatever they want. But sorry kids, that's not how life works. Fortunately, our society honors private property rights, which means entitled parents and kids can't just take whatever they want. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.